Today is September 13th. Today is September 13th. Today is September 13th, 1995. The survivor is Seymour Gold. I'm Jackie Lou. The interview will take place in New York City, New York, USA, and it will be conducted in English. Today is the 13th of September, 1995. The survivor is Seymour Gold. I'm Jackie Lou. The interview will take place in New York, USA, and it's conducted in English. Can you tell me your name?
Seymour Gold.
Can you spell that?
First name Seymour, S-E-Y-M-O-U-R. Last name Gold, G-O-L-D.
And what was your name when you were born?
When I was born, my name was Shoma Gold Fisher. First name Shoma, S-I-O-M-A. Last name Gold Fisher, G-O-L-D-F-I-S-C-H-E-R.
And where were you born?
I was born in a shtetl, Skole. It was first a county, and then it was just a shtetl. And was belonged to the state of Stanislavov. S-T-A-N-I-S-L-A-W-O-W. Stanislavov.
Okay. How do you spell Skole?
Skole, S-K-O-L-E.
Okay.
Skole.
And when were you born?
I was born February 9, 1911.
And what was your father's name?
My father's name was Leibisch, L-E-I-B-I-S-C-H. Goldfisher, G-O-L-D-F-I-S-E-H-E-R.
And your mother's name?
My mother's name was Regina Gold Dingot, from her maiden name. Regina, spell it R-E-G-I-N-A, last name Dingot, D-I-N-G-O-T-T.
Okay. And did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had one brother and two sisters.
What were their names?
My brother's name was Sal, but this was his name here when he came to America, but otherwise it was Shulam. Can I say Shulam or Sal? I don't know. Goldfisher. And my elder sister's name was Leah, L-E-A. And my other younger sister's name was Hinda, H-I-N-D-A.
Okay. And what did your father do when you were growing
My
up?
father was a salesman, also, and he was selling raw skins from animals, and also they called it for the peasants. They were wearing, how would they call it, chodikis? I don't know how to say it in English, but they looked like sneakers made from skin.
How did you say it in Yiddish?
Chodikis, C-H-O-D-A-K-E-S.
Okay. Can you tell me about your childhood? What do you
My
remember?
childhood was poor, miserable. We lived mostly on potatoes. My mother used to bake bread once a week on a Friday for the whole week. So in other words, the third day before the dip in the bed was very stale, used to break our teeth, because that's how we lived. And once a day, once in the week, she made also a little meat to celebrate Saturday. But we children used to get the bones. The meat we didn't see. And she used to make very delicious pancakes, and from potatoes, and also from cornbread. That's how we lived. He ate very little vegetables, and also we didn't see potatoes or tomatoes. Tomatoes, we didn't know. We used to have an orange, by half an orange. And when did the poor man eat an orange? When the orange was completely rotten, or when he had to be very sick. The oranges came from hunger. We didn't have such oranges in Poland. And otherwise we ate pears, apples, and plums. From the plums, mother used to make jam for the whole winter. They call it Povidlo. P-O-W-I-D-L-O. Used to cook the plums and used to make a jam, plum jam. They have them here too, I think. You know what I mean. Okay. That's it.
And what was your house like? Your house?
We had a house, one kitchen and one bedroom. We were 4 to 8 people. We didn't have mattresses. Our mattresses were made from straw. That's why we had a lot of bugs. They were eating them up alive. And the furniture were 2 closets, which she got from when she got married. And otherwise, we had an attic. We kept everything there. The only thing what we did have is geese for the winter time, which we used to feed and used to kill them, and we used to make the grievances. I mean, the fat of the geese was for us, for the bread, and then this was very good. The grievances, which when she boiled them in the water, the little pieces of the geese, of the fat, was very, very delicious. What can I tell you? It was very, very miserable life. We used to take, in the winter time, a bath only once a year, once in 6 months. The summertime was wonderful. We had a river and we used to go there swimming and everything was fine. In the winter time, the water, I used to carry the water from our water well. And we had one tin bathtub. In there, everybody went in. When I went in, I was the youngest. The water was like mud. But mother used to flush me up and it was enough for me to be clean. Luckily for me, once we gave the bathtub, somebody borrowed, an uncle borrowed the bathtub, and I came back, he didn't want to give us back. We started to fight, we broke the bathtub in pieces. I was the happiest boy in town, I didn't carry water. And as far as dirt is concerned, I didn't mind being dirty. And somehow I survived this school. I went to school, to gymnasium. I finished high school. I was very good in Polish, in Latin, in Greek. Not so good in math, but became a teacher, a tutor for the small children.
Okay, was the
After
school...
I finished high school, the matura.
Was the gymnasium near your house?
No, I had to take a ticket of the train. I had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the town and then go back.
What town was the gymnasium in?
In Stry. This is a bigger town in Poland. Stryj, Stry.
How far away was it?
As on 30 miles. And Saturday I had to go there. I didn't travel because it was Saturday. My parents were very religious. Until I was in the 4th grade, I decided it's time to stop being silly, and I took the train Saturday. Somehow I was not killed and everything was fine. I told my father I had no other choice because I was hungry. I can't sleep on the street. I didn't have any relatives. And that's why I finished somehow high school until I got sick, a meningitis. And I and another girl, two people came out alive. The rest of the people died because there was no doctor to cure them. I remember that they called that doctor, and he said there's, in my presence, he has to die because we don't know what to do. Luckily for us, a professor came to another girl who was also sick with meningitis, and my father borrowed $50 and he brought them to me, and they took out the border from the spine, and I survived. I came out deaf on one ear, which I still am on the left ear, deaf, completely deaf. This was a terrible, terrible thing, because I had to interrupt high school, but I came back, I went back, and I finished it. I finished the matura, they call it, the exam for the high school. That's
And
what I can say.
tell me about in your high school, were there other Jewish
Oh, yeah, we were
students?
Jewish, they were Jewish people, yes. The only thing, already there, at that time, when I was in Poland, we started to feel the hatred of the Poles, anti-Semitism. The anti-Semitism was even preached in the church, mind you. And also the Ukrainians, who were our next-door neighbors, were nationalistic. They were poor, they were unemployed, they were even more miserable than we are, because we were a nation which we could trade. We had more initiative. We knew how to buy and how to sell. They knew only how to work on the earth, agriculture. The earth was not good for agriculture. So they hated the Jews, but the Jews were there all the time the sacrificial lamb. They had to have somebody who's guilty. And their leader, national fascist, Bandera, was born not far from my hometown. And at the time of the Nazi occupation, he was there. And the Ukrainian people could help. They helped only one family for money, for gold, and for everything else. The rest of the people, they did not help at all. Not the Polish people, not the Ukrainian.
Okay, how did you feel the anti-Semitism?
First of all, I finished high school. The medical school in good schools were closed for Jewish people. They used to cut the girls who were studying in college or in university with gillettes. They were closed for us, medical school. The only law school was open and teachers. So there were more teachers and more lawyers and clients. And then they called us names, and from time to time, when things are very bad, they make programs. So I remember one program, and I remember also the hatred of the Polish and the Ukrainian people to the Jews. In that bizarre atmosphere, but somehow life was bittersweet, as I said. We lived, and we were fighting. We didn't know anything better. My brother ran away, and he went to America. One year he had an initiative, and somehow he went to Europe, first to Belgium. He was a waiter, then he came to Canada. From Canada, he opened him into America, and he opened stores because he found some relatives here, and that's how I came later on to America.
Did your family want to come to America early on?
They wanted to come, but they couldn't because America was closed already. They didn't let anybody in. Yeah.
So can you tell me of an anti-Semitic incident that happened that let you know what was
Yes.
going to come?
I remember they had a strike. They were one lumber yard in the town, and very few people worked. The Jewish people worked, but them they paid very small wages. And somehow the Polish people, the Ukrainian people made a strike, and they say the Jewish people were the ones who talked them into to the strike. And they started to beat up the Jewish people. I was beaten up in the trains three times for no good reason. We felt it, that we are like strangers there. However, we left there We lived there for years and years. Somehow, we were not friends. However, my mother we helped them, but we didn't get any help from them. That's what I can say.
Did you associate with non-Jewish people at all?
No, not at all, not at all, not at all. As a matter of fact, only one Jewish girl converted, and she married a railroad man. He was Christian. The father was a religious Jew, but the rabbi gave him an order that he should take off his shoes and sit Shiva. You know what I mean? In other words, like she would be dead. The father didn't obey, but he used to travel there secretly to see her. What happened later when Hitler came? They had an order that only the people who are converted 30 years something could be counted as Gentile people. The other people, 20 years married to Gentiles, didn't have any right at all. So that time, a priest, he went to the Nazis and he testified that he married her of 30 or 40 years ago. What happened later? They arrested her, but they let her free. After the liberation, she somehow converted back to Judaism with the children. But otherwise, this was very, very seldom. We had nothing in common with them, nothing at all. Yeah. This is not America. This was what they call it, a separate. We were strangers there. Jewish people were strangers there. The Jewish people and the Gypsies, we were two strangers.
Did you know Gypsies?
I knew them, but they used to come to us. They used to steal horses, for instance. We knew them. But they were, like here, the homeless people. They slept outside. And they used to come once a year. And they were very, very musically inclined. They were terrific musicians. But that's how we liked them. But we had nothing in common with them.
Did they live in the shtetl also?
No. They traveled from town to town. They didn't have any homes.
So tell me about you. You finished the gymnasium, and then where were you working?
I was working as a tutor. To college, I went when the Russians came already. I had a good position. They came in 1941, if I'm not mistaken. 1939, when the Germans took apart with Russia, 1939, and I became a director of agricultural institution, but after a year time, I somehow was able to resign and went to college. Then the war broke out. And I had to go back to town, to my hometown.
Where was the Agricultural Institute?
I didn't want to work there. They called the directors agricultural institute. We used to, everything was belonged to the government, mind you. Nothing was private. All the stores were nationalized. So I stopped working. I went to college, but they paid me very little. But somehow I had to interrupt because I had no place where to live. Many people from Poland, which was occupied by the Nazis, ran away to the Russian side. And the Russian people, their bureaucrats, took over all the apartments, so there was no place where to live. So that's why I had to go back.
Okay. So then what happened?
Then the war broke out.
Okay, tell me about that.
I know you read it about it.
Oh, I know, but I want you to tell me.
Okay. When the war broke out, it happened in one nice day. I worked already on another place as a director of plants in a small factory. And when the war broke out, there was panic. We didn't know what to do. All, everything stopped. They didn't go to work anymore. You know, the Germans are advancing. Then one of our boys was called to the party, and they told them that we can go with them. They are going to get a train to Russia, and we are going to go with them. And we should take very little with us, very little belongings, only a few shirts, whatever belongs to us. And you read it, and about 100 people came there that day, and we started to walk through mountains to a little station. And then we found out that they needed help, not us as soldiers, because they mobilized all the Russian people, but they wanted we should work on their agriculture, and they collect the farms, and that's why they told us to immigrate with them. And we went there, but right away we saw that we are, not that we made a mistake, that life will be miserable for us. We worked, but then later we didn't understand the people where we worked, because we worked there in a collective farm in Russia. But when the Germans started to advance, we took a train and then a boat to Central Asia to run away from the Nazis.
Okay.
We went to Stalingrad first, and from Stalingrad we went to Central Asia.
Okay, let's go back a minute to the first train that took you to Russia. Tell me about that.
The first train took us to Russia, and we traveled 3 weeks, day and night into Russia. We came to a town near Donetsk, near Rostov, and we were around 100 people. Then we saw, when the train stopped in certain stations, people from old Ukraine also ran away from the
And you were on the
Nazis.
train for 3 weeks?
3 weeks we traveled by train.
Can you describe how it was?
We were hungry. In certain stations we could still get a piece of bread and water. We were hungry, we were starved. And we came there, and they divided us. Some people went to this farm, some people... I went with a group of people not far from there where we stopped, in a collective farm. There we were 4 or 6 weeks, I don't remember, 4 or 6 weeks.
Where was your family at this time?
My family, my father and mother, with my sister, with a little baby. She didn't go with us. The other sister was in a big town, Lvov. She was a lawyer. Her husband was a lawyer too. They worked also for the Russians. And after the war, I found out they were taken to Auschwitz and they perished there. My father and my mother and the sister with a little baby were killed in my hometown. They took him first, the prison, and then they took him out from the prison. They shot him with machine guns. Some of them died, a lot of people died from hunger, from starvation. It was what they call it, beasts. Wild beasts. The first day when they came, the Germans, they killed our lawyer. They told him he was president of the community. But he had nothing to do with the community anymore, because he was an elderly man. They gave him an order he should bring all the Jews on the marketplace. He came on the marketplace and they asked him, where are the Jews? He says, they didn't listen to me, I have nobody. They killed them with a machine gun right away. And they start killing them, and they start starving them to death, and that's how they perished.
Okay. So then you arrived in Stalingrad.
Then I took a train to a boat to Stalingrad. In Stalingrad, we saw right away. It was cold. We had no apartments. We slept outside. It was windy. It was terrible. The wind. There's a very, very cold climate there. And from there, we were there maybe 2 weeks. We took a train to Central Asia, to Tashkent. From there, they sent us back near Bukhara. There are a lot of Jewish people lived in this town, in Uzbekistan. And this is a state, a nation, living in a land where the only cotton grows. They are there. Very, very little agriculture, but only cotton. And they also used to get meat in agricultural products from Moscow because they were part of the Soviet Union. But that time the train stopped, everything stopped, and there was nothing to get, nothing to eat. We were first in a little collector farm where I worked as a shepherd. There was maybe 1,000 sheep there, and these sheep go for Persian coats. I worked there, but then later on I saw there was nothing to eat. They ate, but they didn't give us anything. So I ran away from there and came back to where I started to work, and they couldn't find their work for me too. All the people were fired. We went back to town, and I got sick of typhus, and I went to the hospital. After I came back from the hospital, as sick as I was, I had one pair of shoes. Well, a dead man left it there for me. I changed it for a piece of bread. I had there typhus, and then I got malaria, and then I got a terrible, terrible sickness. They call it sciatica, where the pain is so unbearable that I was screaming like a wild animal. Luckily for me, there was a doctor, professor from Moscow, who came to heal the soldiers who came there, were wounded on the front, and they took him there to this hospital. He gave me one injection, and they discharged me. When they discharged me, I was again without a home. I went to the collector farm, but they had nothing for me. They didn't give me anything to eat. I was hungry 3 days. I was standing in line for a piece of bread. When I came there, after 24 hours, the bread was gone. It was chaos. It was misery. I decided to do something about it.
Okay, we're going to stop right here and change the tape, okay?
Okay.
I'd like to go back and talk about the train.
Okay.
Wait.
And we walked at night, a whole night, to a little station to go away.
This
They
is when
said
you were first leaving for
that when
Russia.
when we're leaving my hometown. We came to a station, cement little station. One side, the train came, the other side there were no benches, nothing. We were sitting on the floor. And I was described there in this, my story about it, how miserable we lived. We didn't know what to do. We were just absolutely confused. We didn't know if they are going to mobilize into the army or what will happen. Finally, at 12 o'clock, when they opened or some midnight, when they opened the other side of this little house to the train, we saw, the night was very dark, we saw only one wagon, and everybody pushed themselves into this wagon. We were fighting like animals. And when I went, they pushed me in. I lost a package, some luggage from a girl who gave it to me. When I was laying down on the floor, on top of me bodies and bodies I couldn't breathe. I thought I'm going to choke to death. Finally, after 2 hours, when the sun came out and became dark light, people started to walk out from the wagon. They found out there were 20 wagons there. Everybody saw this own wagon. We're fighting like animals, just like animals, because for survival. But we didn't know that there are so many wagons there, empty wagons. We saw only one. But this is the story when I ran away. Now I came back to this when I decided they stole my clothing on a station someplace, and they left me only one shirt and one pair of underwear, and I was barefooted. When I came up from the hospital, I told you I had shoes, but I changed them for a piece of bread. I was full of lice. My whole body was bleeding, was scratching. And there was no bread. I was hungry for 2 days. I started to eat leaves and grass like an animal. I couldn't eat anymore, and I decided to commit suicide. Definitely, I said, this is enough, I can't do it. It's no good. Just how to commit suicide, I found out that that train is coming in a certain hour. So I went to the train, and my mind was made up, I'm going to throw myself under the train. As I walked to this train, I saw a group of people. Some of them I knew, they were all refugees from Romania, from Poland. I asked them, what are you doing there? And they told me that they are going to be mobilized to a factory, a steel factory in Tashkent, of the main city in Uzbekistan. So I had nothing to lose. I went in, and I saw a woman in white coat, a doctor. She was Jewish. I saw that she's Jewish because she looked at me Jewish. And I asked her, I'd like to be mobilized. I says, I was in the hospital, that's why I didn't know that they mobilized people. And I have nothing to lose, I want to be mobilized. She says, we can only take healthy people. Are you healthy? I says, I feel good. Just take off your shirt. When she saw, what are you bleeding as? I told her, my lies are eating me up alive. I can't live like this. She says, we can take you. I says, well, I beg you should take me. She says, I can't. I says, will you do this as a Jew to a Jew? So I put her like this. He says, let me talk to the doctor, to the professor. And she came back, she says, I convinced him that you should go with us. We are going to take you. And they mobilized me. And I went to the Tashkent, to the steel factory, and there I was 3 years till the war ended.
What did you do in the steel factory?
I was sweeping, I didn't want it, I couldn't work. They were making combines for the agriculture from steel. And 12 hours a day with a little water and a little piece of bread. I could not, I was so sick I could not work. So I decided to ask him for another job. I said, I'm a perfect cleaner, I can clean. So they gave it to clean the backyard, the yards there, and the factory, the floor. I became a free man. I started to steal coal in the packets. I had a tailor who made for me big packets. And I stole the coal, and I went to call to the Jewish people, to the rich, and to some Gentile people, and even to Uzbeks, and I sold it for a piece of bread. And this is how I survived the war from stealing. I became, they call it in Russian, a zhudik.
What was that word?
A ganef, a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Once they caught me. When they caught me, I said I had to take a little coal because I got a little rice and I have to cook it for myself. So, would you kill me for that? So they let me go. Then I found some 3 sisters from my hometown. They were in a collective farm, some 7 miles from the factory, and they helped me a little bit. And after the war, with a train, as a Polish citizen, I came back to Poland.
Okay, let's stay with the coal. Where were you staying at this time? Where were you
We
sleeping?
had to have one room there in the factory. We had one mattress made from straw. That's where we slept.
How many people were there?
300, 400 people.
Other Jewish people?
No, all kinds of people. A lot of Jewish people, mostly Jewish people.
Did you have to ever hide the fact that you were Jewish?
No, not at all. That's the only thing I have to say. There was no discrimination. The anti-Semitism in Russia started to come out after the war. After the war, they killed the Jewish writers and Jewish artists, and Stalin became like an animal too. It was after the war, but I was not there anymore. After the war, I went to Poland. I was there in Poland.
Let's still in the coal factory. Okay. What else did you do there? What were you eating? Who were you talking to?
Where? In the factory.
In the factory.
In the factory, I was stealing, and I was eating only bread. Yeah, they gave me also a job. They had a holiday, national holiday, and they got 12 pigs. They told me I should feed the pigs. I said, the hell with the pigs. I said, I will feed the pigs. Then I started to eat and cook took their food, but they had to get the pigs. The pigs became wild like animals. I couldn't approach them anymore. Luckily for me, they killed them. They had very little fat because they were I took away their food. I was competing with pigs, can you imagine? That's bringing life ahead. So I don't know how I survived.
What thoughts were in your head?
Huh?
What thoughts helped you survive? What were you thinking about?
I was fighting for my life. I found out after after the war only, that nobody was alive. And then we went back to Poland.
Okay, but let's stick still here. Tell me other things that were going on at this time. Who were the other people? Were you friendly with anybody? Who were your close contacts with?
A lot of people died in the factory. Died. I had one boy. He was, I think, from Romania. You know, he was eating, no more nor less. He had one boy. The mother used to come to visit him. He took the oil from the machine as cooking oil, and he tried to fry some potato salad, and he died. He died. He got convulsions. He died. Can you imagine oil from stinking oil? How I survived the war there is behind me. I don't know how. I had malaria. And the hardest day I was shaking like a leaf. I had pellagra. My skin was peeling. Then they took me to the hospital and I had tuberculosis. I didn't have tuberculosis from starvation because I didn't eat. I somehow, I don't know how I survived. I know only one thing, that I was skinny. I was miserable. I had nothing to wear. I had no shoes. I had no underwear. The lights all the time were eating me up alive until the war finished in 1945. They told us that we can go home to Poland.
Okay. Who was in charge at the coal factory?
The Soviet Union.
But were there specific people that you remember?
Well, sure, they were party men. Everything went they made combines. They evacuated machinery from Rostock, from a big city, and they make combines in tractors for agriculture. The people were working there. I remember one boy from Lithuania. He was so busy working there, and everybody thought that he's the best. They wanted to give him an honor him because that's how good he is. Because all the time he walked from one end of the factory to the other. He carried a piece of steel. He didn't do a goddamn thing. They found out. He would just make himself busy. And they were cheating. And we saw that the Russian people paid the government with the same money which they got because they were not devoted. And I met later on soldiers who came back from the front, And they told me they lied to us, telling us that everything, that in Europe, everybody is starving to death. If we found out that people live in better houses than we do, they are lying to us. And pictures like this, I was in court in the whole big city. What happened is, Russian people also came to this city, to Tashkent. They evacuated families. One wife with 2 children came to Tashkent. They gave her an apartment, and she worked, and they told her husband perished on the front. And one day, she found another soldier, another man, and she married him. They got married. What happened? One day she walked on the street and she saw her husband. He was wounded. He was lost in action. They told her that he's dead. So she came with both men to court and asked him whom she should marry, whom he should live with. The judge didn't know what to answer. He said, this is up to you. And everybody cried. The pictures there, the misery. I have to tell you only one thing, that sometimes when my wife died, I was so depressed from all this misery that I don't know how out of my life. The only thing is that I have a lovely daughter and a son. And my son helps me a lot, and that's how I'm alive. That's how I live. Yeah. And I was in the DP camps.
Okay, well, we're going to get there in a minute.
Yeah,
Okay, so when did you find out the war was coming to an end?
1945.
Okay, and what were you doing when you found out? How did you hear?
They gave an order to the Polish people. We found out we had a Polish organization there, that we can go back to Poland. So they gave us a train, and we went back to Poland.
Where in Poland?
We went to Niederschlesia in Poland. And some people went to Gdańsk, Gdynia. Some people, mostly Jewish people, went to this town. And we were there. And there people saw me. And somebody sent a telegram to my brother in America that I'm alive. And right away, they asked me, everybody became my friend. Everybody wanted to be my friend, and everybody asked me to. There were some Jewish people who survived the Holocaust in the town, 17 people. I met a group of people who survived there, and they opened a store in Poland. At that time, they still Polish. Poland was not yet communistic, so in other words, everybody could go in business for himself. And somehow I met their 2 cousins who were also Polish soldiers, and they were also discharged from the army, and they opened a store. They were shoemakers, and they had a big apartment. They called me. They told me to come, and they will take care of me, because they found out that I'm alive, that my brother is in America, and he helped the people. When I came back to them, my brother sent me a telegram, how much money do you need? And I shouldn't worry anymore. And from then on, I didn't really have to worry, but because I was in the DP camps only a few months.
Okay.
The DP camps in Austria.
Okay, when you first came to Poland, you went back to your shtetl?
Yes.
Okay.
I told you I went to the shtetl and I saw what happened there. I was there a few hours and I ran away.
Okay, tell me what you saw when you went back there.
This shtetl, the houses were without windows. There were no Jews. I saw a few Ukrainians, but then I saw also party men or Russian people. They looked to me very strange. I described this in the book, in the story. I had nothing to do there. I left, and I went to the DP camps.
Okay. What DP camp did you go to?
In Austria.
What was the name of it?
Near Linz. Okay. I don't remember the name of the camp now.
And how did you get there?
Huh?
How did you get to
They
the
sent
DP
us there.
camp?
They sent us there.
Okay.
They sent us there.
But on a train, you all went?
The Jewish organizations worked already, the American organization, the HIAS, in the UNRWA. They sent us there, we came there. They gave us to eat. It's a funny thing, but they gave us to eat. Every day they gave us soup. Spaghetti. Spaghetti. The streets were paved with spaghetti. Nobody wanted to eat it anymore. I worked in the kitchen for a while. And then
Had you heard about your family at that point? You knew?
I was in touch with my brother.
Okay, but you knew what had happened to your
Yeah,
parents?
they told me that nobody's alive.
And tell me again, how many people survived from your shtetl?
17 in the woods. One family survived in a village. I told you about the family of Tambo. And that's about it.
And how many people had there been before the war?
Before there were, let's say, 3,000, 100 people evacuated to Russia with the train there. And the rest of the people, they took him in the train. I don't know what they tell you. They took him to the train. They should go to Auschwitz, to the biggest city street. They broke the door from the train because they were choked from lack of air. And they started to go back to their hometown with the rail. In the underway, they killed them. They killed the people just like they killed the Jewish people in Babi Yar. Right now, in the New York Times, there are 150,000 people. I was there in '82, and I saw it in the ravine, how they killed the people. They were killing people, taking them to prison, and then taking them out from prison. One boy I met here in America, he died of cancer. He came from Israel. He has 2 children, and they were working here in America for Israel. So he came to visit his children, and I met him, and he told me that he was also taken to the prison, and they took him out, and he ran away, and they were shooting, but somehow he survived. So all the people they were killing like they would be dogs, like they would be horses. They were killing people, children, killing children. That's the story of the Holocaust.
Okay. Now, in the DP camp, what did you do there?
In the DP camps, I didn't do a goddamn thing.
How long were you there for?
Eating lunch, they call it, macaroni, spaghetti. And I started to get money from my brother, $10, $20, $50. And I decided, he sent me $100. I decided to leave the DP camps, and I went, he got a passport for me to Paraguay. So I left the camp in Austria, and I went to Germany. Can I?
Mm-hmm.
From Germany, I went to Paris. I smuggled myself into Paris for $75. And there I met a Jewish
Right.
family.
Go back to Germany. What did you do in Germany?
Nothing.
How long were you there for?
In Germany, I was exactly maybe 10 days.
Okay.
10 days. I didn't go to live in Germany, but I just went to see how I can go to Paris. I wanted to go to a country they're far away from the German people. I went to Paris, and there another girl was also smuggled in by smugglers. By train, you know, and I paid them $75, and I asked him maybe they will allow me to go in there. When I came in there, I didn't know where to go. I saw the first time I saw it. I was bewildered. They allowed me to go in there, and one of the sisters who was there were 2 sisters. One of the sisters was in the underground fighting the Germans. She was a well-known personality there, but I didn't know about it. She approached me, she asked me, "Who are you?" I told her I lived during the war in Russia. So she says to me, did you like these bastards? I says, I'm not calling people who helped me, and I survived their bastards. I says, I survived the war. Maybe they're communist, I'm not a communist. I know only one thing, that I lived there, and they helped me, and I survived there. So please, if you pay them, I will take my luggage and I will go away. She says, wait a minute. I didn't know where to go, really. And all of a sudden, she came back. She says, you are our guest. We wouldn't let you go. You stay here. And I will help you any way I can. She says, I have money. As a matter of fact, I did something for them. What I did, there was a man, an American, came to Paris, and my brother sent him over there. This man brought me some money, and he wanted to see how the Jewish people lived there. So they took him in Paris to an organization where they, yeah, do you know the Paris, the Jewish people went to camps, and they left a lot of children there. There were children without parents. And they showed him, he was a manufacturer of bedspreads, this man. And they showed him these children, and they asked him what he can do for them. So he says, when I come back, I will send you some money. To me, he sent later around $1,000 to the children, for the children. So I paid them off, you know. And I here, in this house I am right now, I help people as much as I can. But I know what misery can do. I have a woman here who has multiple sclerosis. I help her. I was feeding her. I do everything what's possible. And as I told you, later on, my wife came to Paris.
Okay, tell me the story of Paris. Tell me everything about Paris.
Well, Paris is a beautiful city after the war. I lived there, my brother sent me money. I lived there. But my brother wanted I should come to America. And my wife, the two sisters married to two brothers.
Where are the two sisters with the two brothers?
One is alive.
No, but back then, they were in the United States?
My wife was married. She had married, and her husband died of kidney disease. He left her with a little boy. This is my son. And I started to called up my brother from Paris. I sent him letters to her. And she lived with them because she had nobody. That time in 1945, in 1946, 1948, there was no Social Security, there was nothing, there was no Medicare. She was there, got a small pension, $50. How can you live on $50? So they took her in to my brother. And she approached my brother, she says, I will do you a favor. I want to pay you off what you did for me. I can bring your brother here, I go in there and I will marry him. She sent me a picture. She was a beautiful woman. I don't know how she could fall in love with me, but somehow she came to Paris, into a lawyer. We got married in no time. Her money, everything is very corrupt in Paris.
What was her name?
Anda.
Spell that, please.
Huh?
Spell her name.
A-N-D-A, Anda. I'll show you the picture. She married me, and 3 months later I came to America. When I came to America here, and they asked me, in Idlewild, that was Kennedy Airport, how come that you married an American citizen? How come you were here in America? I said, well, this is, and I spoke fluently French. This is a funny thing with me. I pick up languages. I had friends there, speaking only French. So they gave me a dolmetscher, and he translated. And I told him, I walked on Champs-Élysées, and all of a sudden I saw a woman approaching me. And I looked at her, I says, oh my God, this is the woman I was in love with her in Poland. And then she came to America and she left me there. And I was, right now, I was a citizen without a country. I says, what are you doing here? She says, she came here for a visit. To make the long story short, oh la la, she fell in love with her, I fell in love with she fell in love with me, I fell in love with her, and that's how I am. I came to see her, because I'm her husband. So they let me go, and I started to work with my brother. He helped me, that's true. I became a customer peddler.
A what?
A customer peddler. To bring in customers to the store with your appliances, furniture, and everything else. and I did not speak English. I just put the foot in the door, and I said, lady, I have sheets and pillowcases. And she saw right away that I am a stranger, I mean a schlemiel. She thought she would take me for a ride, or she was in good humor. She invited me to the house, and then I asked her, lady, would you like to spread on the bed? Because I wanted to sell her bedspreads. And later on, they became my customers. $1 down, $2 down, $2 a week. And I opened accounts, and I used to bring them to the store, and they used to buy furniture, and used to get a commission. And I made a living. And I started to speak English. And little by little, I survived. My son was sent to school. He finished in the university. He was even a professor in Hofstra College, but somehow he had to go for his PhD, but he found a job here where he's working right now for the city. Then my daughter came, and that's it. That's my story. This is the whole story. What else can I say? I had a house in Laurelton.
Okay, what are your children's names?
Jerry and Rani. R-O-N-N-I-E, Rani.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're going to stop here for a moment and switch tape.
yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back, and I think you had some more stories that we can
Even
talk
more
about.
stories. I can give you some stories how the people live, what happened to some people, which the survivors told me. If you want to hear, I will give it to you. Okay? Would you like to hear?
Okay, tell me. Mhm.
Okay. There was a Jewish family living in a Ukrainian house, but they paid for it with a lot of money. And the woman supplied them with food. She gave him to eat, and she kept him in a stable there, in a basement. There were 20 people maybe. The brother of the woman found out about it, and he came and he met one of the Jewish men at night when he went out a little bit to get air. He says, I want to get paid, otherwise I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do. So he says, why don't you come the next day? I will find out from my other people what to pay you. So he says he came. In the meantime, what they did, when he came, they dug a big grave there in the basement. When he came, they killed him like a dog. And nobody knew about him, how he disappeared. That's what the people told me. Another girl who's right now in America told me she was with her dead uncle, an addict. And the uncle died. She was afraid to go down. She was within 10 days. The body started to stink. And she was right now normal, living with a dead body so long. She married a man from my hometown. They had a little restaurant. I don't hear from them at all. This is another story I heard. In this story about a group of people also living in a bunker. And what happened? All of a sudden, when the Germans came, they ran fast inside, down, covered up the bunker. Only one girl was not so fast. And when the Germans came, they slammed the door and they backed her with the door to the wall. They started to go around for 10 minutes looking, and they didn't find anything. And she was there. When the people when they left, when they came, she was there like like that. It took him a long time to revive her, under the door. So the miracles happen. What can I say? I told you the story about the child who was killed because the mother wanted to save the community. And the only thing that I know in my hometown, many, many people died from starvation. And no Ukrainian people helped them, no Polish people helped them with anything. One Jewish family gave a lot of money, they had money, to a man who hid him someplace. He had a little house there in the woods, and they survived. 17 people survived in the mountains, because we lived in the Carpathian Mountains. And they were supplied by one Ukrainian for money. Naturally, they gave them food, and they used to, and they are right now in Israel. One is in Canada. The rest of the people just died. Died terrible, terrible way, because some of them had to dig their own graves. The worst thing what bothers me, but I can't even think about it, they killed the children of my two sisters and other infant children. They did not give a damn about children either. What can I say? I am the survivor.
Can you tell me about your
And
life now?
my life now is good now in this respect that I was very sick. I got many operations, but I eat very little because I can't eat too much. My stomach was moved up. The esophagus was malignant. And my son got for me Medicaid. I paid him, but they prepare for me food, because I lived and I have a bagel and coffee from depression. I couldn't eat. I didn't feel like it's worthwhile living. But they are preparing me lunch and supper, in breakfast. They're very good because I'm paid. I'm paid. They're again getting paid. That's how it is. I am right now all by myself, but I read a lot. I watch television. I have cable, and life has to go on. I'm 84. Life goes very, very fast, and that's what it is. But the Holocaust was there, and it's a terrible thing to think about.
What do you think kept you going always?
What kept me going?
What kept you going?
I'm asking this question myself. The lust for life. You know, for they say, religious people say they go into paradise. People who are sinners say they go to hell. But both of them have to die first. You know, the people who have to go to paradise and into hell, both they'd have to die. So I figure between that in a grave, better off to be alive. I was in nursing homes. My relative has nursing homes. I went there because I was very, very sick. And I wanted to see maybe they will give me some food. I couldn't prepare food. I made a fire. So they told me a joke which made me laugh, and I feel, that whole life is just funny.
Do you remember the
A
joke?
man, yeah, a man with the joke. A very wealthy man. He was all by himself, but he was very rich, and he decided to go to a nursing home. They gave him a separate room. He put in a sign on the room. Sex is available. On the couch, on the floor, $5. On the couch, $10. On the bed, $15. Another babushka the other day, a baba, also 92 years old, knocked on the door. She gives him $15. And he says, well, I'm dressed, let's go on the bed. She says, oh no, I want it 3 times on the floor for the same money. So I figure that's what I heard in the nursing home. So even in the nursing home, this is the last step for people who are there. life is very, very morbid, very sad, and very crazy. There are a lot of crazy people there too. I was there, and I was very happy to get out from there.
Well, here you help a lot of people. You want to tell me about that?
People. She have a nice apartment,
Very nice.
and they have trips, they have activities. And what I did when I came in here, I were writing. He had a journal. Everybody was writing about his past. And this what I gave you to read today. It was part of this until I got sick. Yeah. And where do I speak with an accent? I know it's not in English, but at least you understand me. Please understand, this is not my home. This is not my native language. I did not, in my wildest dreams, did not think to be sometimes in America. How? How? It was impossible. But people are right now from Russia, little Odessa here in America. We have Russians here. We have Russians here as home attendants for other people, for sick people. Very good-looking women. They are pianists, and they are sometimes they have education, but their education here in America has no value at all. So they take what's coming and what they pay for.
Are there any other stories that we didn't talk about that you want to share?
A minute, let me see. Yeah, my life as a customer peddler was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
As a customer
Because
peddler?
Yeah. I met American people. I spoke to them in their language. They were talking to me in English. I had to answer in English. I got acquainted with them, and they were very, very sometimes funny stories, and sometimes very, very tragic stories. So I will never forget a story about a woman who was living by herself in Oceanside on the border. And I had a customer in Oceanside who lived 200 feet far from her. And this woman died. She was lonely. Somebody used to bring her food. When she died, they found out she had $300,000 in the bank. It's just like this. What she left is a parakeet who talked dirty language. My customer took the parakeet. And when I came to collect the money, I heard here, you son of a bitch, why don't you drop dead, you fucking bastard? I said, why does my customer talk to me like this? What did I do? I came there. I said, why did you curse me like this? She says, I don't talk like this. They put the bird. She showed me the bird. And this woman, lived like this. My God, I had customers who were just absolutely, I was crazy or they were crazy. One woman was worked in a shop. She was my customer. She had a husband. She used to buy for me everything. In one day, she bought a television set, a bedroom set, a living room set, and her husband came home, put himself on the chair, watched television, didn't ask her a word. Where did you get it? Like nothing. She says that's how he is. So all kinds of things like this, was entertaining and was funny. But I was at the time when my brother died, that I closed the business. That's it. And I was selling cigarettes, and I manufactured my own tobacco. I did everything what's possible in this country. And finally, I moved in here with my wife in 1981, December 1981. And she died in 1989. This is it.
Okay, if you were going to give anybody a message about the Holocaust, what would you say? Anybody seeing this tape, what would you like them to know?
I have to tell you something. I had this against my brother, and I found out when my wife died, I met a woman who was a slave labor for the Germans. She came here. Her uncle said to her, everything you can tell me, but don't tell me about the Holocaust. Don't tell me about it, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to have bad dreams, and I'm not interested. My brother never asked me a thing. So this is something like, I don't want to talk about it. This is the first time I'm sitting in this chair and I tell you about it. The way the people died there, and what the Germans did to them, if they would pay them thousands of dollars, they can't pay it. Because they just killed them. Animals don't do it to people what they did to us. Animals. They were killing them like they wouldn't be people. In my hometown, when my mother was born, we had here a Polish woman. She was here. She died. I was acquainted with her. I helped her. I talked to her. She died. She comes from another town. She was doing the Nazi occupation. Then they took her as a slave laborer to Germany. She told me in their hometown, well, I hope they call this town, they took the people in the cemetery and they told them, they forced them to dig their own graves. And then they shot them. Children, men, women. That's it. What can I tell you? It's something unbelievable. Unbelievable. The people, the American people maybe have a little, maybe they are right. They don't, because they don't want to have bad dreams. In my case, I don't know what to tell you. It's terrible to think about it. It's impossible. It's impossible. I told you the story about me. This wasn't nothing what I lived. This was just what they called fighting for life. They did not have a chance to fight for life. They did not have a chance. They killed them.
Well, I want to thank you for telling the story.
I want to thank you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't deserve it, maybe. I don't deserve it. I take this for granted. I don't take things for granted that I'm here in this house. That's one thing. I thank them and I send them I took a survey in the house because I don't take things for granted. But what can I say? That's the story about us. What is Spielberg? I have it here. I'm going to read this book. Who is he?
Okay.
Spielberg.
Okay, well, thank you again for sharing the story.
Yeah.
We're going to end the tape now, and we're going to look at pictures.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Picture? Yeah. What kind of picture?
Go ahead.
Okay. What should I say?
Tell me about the picture.
Oh, this is my mother. She was born in Bolechov, Bolechov, in Galicia, later on Poland. That's about it.
What year?
I don't know the year, in 18-something, but I don't know when.
When was the picture taken?
This picture was given to me by a cousin who found it someplace in his files. I don't know when it was taken. Okay. Can I talk?
Yeah.
This is the picture of my family. My father and mother in the front. On the right side, my sister. On the left side, another sister. My older sister, her name was Leah. She was a lawyer later. And the younger sister, who had only a high school education, Hinda, Hinda. This picture was sent more or less in 1928 to my brother who, as a youngster, ran away and reached America and opened a business here. And that's how I got this picture. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it at all. That's it. What else can I say? This is a picture of me and my wife, and taken in 1947 after we got married. I married my wife, Anda, by a blind date. She didn't know me, I didn't know her. She took a chance, and we fell in love with each other. French style, ah la la. I came 3 months later, if I'm not mistaken, 3 months later, in 1948, or maybe 5 months later, 1948, to America. Thanks to this, that I got married in Paris. Pardon? In Paris. In Paris. This is a picture of me, my son Jerry, and my daughter Rani. This was taken this year, sometime in March, if I'm not mistaken, to her graduation. She graduated summa cum laude as a speech therapist. She goes now for her master's. She worked also for the Pacific Telephone Company in San Francisco. And I have from her one grandson, Joshua. And this grandson is right now in Dartmouth College. And I don't have no where he is. You have him there.
Joshua's last name?
Huh?
Joshua's last name?
Joshua.
His last name?
Jacobson. Jacobson. Do you have it here? My grandson.
Okay, talk about the picture.
Huh?
Tell us about the picture.
Joshua is my grandson. He's right now 20 years old. He is going to Dartmouth College, taking engineering. And he comes from a divorced marriage. My daughter divorced her first husband. And she's married now to a doctor, a research doctor, who is Shalom Aleicham's great-grandson. And Shalom Aleichem is one of the famous Jewish, Mark Twain, they call him, the Jewish Mark Twain.
Okay, and when was this picture taken?
This picture was taken a long time ago, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know who I have his picture. His latest picture I don't have. He's 6'3" tall. He's very tall. Okay. This is my son, Jerry. Thanks to him, I am right now alive. He did for me many things. I know I embarrass him, but that's the honest truth. I don't know what I would do by myself, not for him. He helped me in my sickness and in health, because I got to him Medicaid. I'm not ashamed to tell, because it helps me, because I couldn't eat for myself. They prepared for me, and he did it for me. And he books locally for me, not far from here on Gold Street, for the city of New York. And I see him very often, and when I have some problems, I come to him and he settles, and he helps me. Problems of health and problems of finances and all kinds of things. I'm lucky that I have. So that's how it is. All right, yeah, that's, what can I say?
Well, my father, actually Seymour's my stepfather. He came to the United States in 1948, and I had lost my father through an illness. And my mother remarried, and I was very happy when he came in from Paris after having gone through the Holocaust. And in the beginning, he didn't really say too much about the Holocaust. I think it was just too much of a shock to discuss.
I talked about it.
I don't remember in the beginning hearing too much about it.
Nobody asked for it, they didn't want to know about it. It's a shame. But
Later on, he said a lot more about it, and of course I knew where he came from and what had happened to him and his family and the tragedy of it, and made me aware of what happened in the Holocaust, because he was a participant and had lost his family there. And so through that, I also have some interest in and concern with what's happening to the Jewish people. Also, I learned through my father that he has a great deal of compassion for other people, and also wants to help them in many ways. I think this may come partly from his fact that he survived the Holocaust and was grateful